Hey everybody, it's Supersonic Boom, and today I wanted to discuss the state of the Sonic series as it stands today, and kind of what attracted me to the series in the first place, and why I'm really not as into it now. So the first game I ever played of Sonic the Hedgehog was Sonic Battle for the Game Boy Advance, and I love that game. It checked so many boxes for me. Actually, it came up with basically what I judged the rest of the Sonic series on. And so what I loved about that game, and what I loved about a lot of games of the era, and a lot of games that came before it, all the classics, were the graphics, the music, the gameplay, the story, and the characters. So I'll talk a little bit about the graphics. I'm talking about well, I guess that would cover the two things, basically the gameplay and also like the promotional artwork and the boxes. So what drew me in at first is just the graphical style, the 2D. First of all, the 2D classical artwork is great, and then the 2D modern style I am a huge fan of. It's just so dynamic and just so tightly made. I'm a huge fan of like the Sonic Adventure 2 cover, any artwork associated with that game, the Sonic Advance series. Rush had some pretty cool ones. Basically anything drawn in that style, and anything we see today, I cherish it, that's drawn in that style. It's just fantastic. Also, the graphics of the games, they were pretty nice, and they evoked just a nice tone. Like, the original games had a pretty consistent tone. They all looked like they could take place within the same universe. And then the 3D games, Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2, they look like they could happen in the same world. And they just both have a really nice sense of atmosphere. You know, obviously they're not the greatest graphics in the world, but they're cool, and I think they do a really good job for making just a fun world to explore. So the graphics were something that I really liked about Sonic Battle and the series in general. And then the second thing was music. The music in the series has not really ever dropped off too badly. I love the music in the Sonic series. A lot of people hate it. But I love it all. The Crush 40 songs, oh darn it, freaking yeah. The Crush 40 songs, the classic songs, just the instrumentals, everything from the series. The stuff that Bowling for Soup did for Unleashed, all of it's just great. And Sonic Battle had the music too. I really enjoyed it. Another thing that attracted me to the series was the gameplay. Sonic Battle had great gameplay, I felt. It was very fun. It had a lot of things you could do. And so did the rest of the series at the time. Really fun, fast. Sonic was fast. That's what attracted me to the gameplay. You can say that Sonic doesn't need to be fast. And, I mean, I guess you're technically right. Like in Sonic Battle, that's not a very fast game, but it's really good, in my opinion. I think it really works. But what attracts me to a series is going really, really fast. That's one of the things that I love about it. That's what I pay money for. That's what I'm interested in. So, I mean, you can make games that don't go fast, but I personally want to go fast. I've got to go fast, I might say. So yeah, gameplay was another thing that Sonic Battle had, and that I just really enjoyed. Another thing was the story of the games. I really enjoyed where they were going. The classics have just sort of a little subtle story that they're going with. They tell it mostly with little cutscenes. It's nice, and I enjoy it. And then I like the storyline that started really with Sonic Adventure. I like the lore, the chaos, Tikal, all these good things. But yeah, I enjoyed the stories. Looking back on them today, they're sort of poorly mashed together. There's plot holes. There's all this stuff. But I liked the tone of the stories, and I liked that they seemed like they put effort into it. Like it for sure hooked me as a kid. It was fantastic to me then, and I look back on it now, and there's still things that I really like about it, or things that get me excited, like Sonic and Shadow going super, or Knuckles meeting Rouge for the first time, or just stuff like that. I don't know. The stories I thought were pretty good, and Sonic Battle actually has what I think is probably the best story in the series. It's really sad, actually, toward the end. But yeah, so I loved the story of the series, and I also, this is one of the most important things, is that I loved the characters. I liked Sonic, I liked Tails, Knuckles, Rouge. They were all different characters, and they were archetypes, but they were pretty good archetypes. Sonic was cocky, but he was like also a hero. And that really hasn't changed. But I think what has changed is the dynamics that the characters used to have together and with each other. And it was never Nobel Prize worthy or anything, but it was good. I enjoyed it, There are different levels of things that's going on. Amy is fierce and like she's independent and she's obsessed with Sonic, and that leads to a lot of funny situations in the older games. Sonic, he doesn't want Amy. He tries as hard as he can to get away from that. He has a rivalry and a respect with Shadow. He makes fun of Knuckles. He really gets along with Tails and kind of supports him. They all have different dynamics with each other. Knuckles and Eggman have a dynamic where he tricks him all the time. Knuckles and Rouge have something. Shadow and Rouge have a dynamic. Rouge and Knuckles. Cream and Amy. Some of this is just Sonic Battle exclusive, really. But yet all the characters have different like little things that they're doing with each other, and that I don't know. I feel like a lot of that's been dropped as of lately. It just felt more fun and more tight, and I really enjoyed who the characters were and their interactions with each other. And as the games went on, they started to check fewer of those boxes for me. Sonic Battle checked them all. Graphics, music, gameplay, story, characters. Those are all the things I can think of that attract me to a Sonic game. Or any game, really. But the first place I really started to notice it was with Sonic Unleashed. And it just sort of felt very different from what I was used to and what had already been established tone-wise. And not really tone-wise. Tone-wise it sort of fit. But graphically, I would say, is where the first little inconsistency was. The cartoon humans and Chip, whether I think he's a decent character and stuff, but his design just doesn't really gel too well with what they'd already established, I feel. So Unleashed, and I also really hated the Werehog stuff. That really tarnished that game for me. I love the daytime stages. I love the music. The graphics are beautiful. The CGI cutscenes are awesome. See, it didn't have the 2D artwork that I was very, very attracted to, romantically. Just moving on. But it didn't have the 2D artwork, but it had such gorgeous CG animation. That opening cutscene alone is worth that game's existence. So yeah, Sonic Unleashed just checked a couple less boxes for me than the Adventure era and Game Boy games and the classic games checked for me. And then Sonic Colors came around, and I love Sonic Colors, but it's also sort of a mixed bag, and this one checked less boxes. The graphics are really nice, and they're really cool, and they had the excuse of the Interstellar theme park for that, so it doesn't really matter that it didn't match the tone of a lot of the other games, because they were on a theme park in space. They could do whatever they wanted, so that was a nice excuse. But one of the things I really loved, the story and the characters, things that were huge attractors for me to the Sonic series, were nowhere to be found in that game. That game's story is abysmal. They're making jokes, horrible jokes all the time. The characters have just been neutered and butchered, and they're very just pandering, and they're just... It really feels like they're just appealing to the lowest common denominator and really not putting any kind of wit or effort into it. It's not something that everyone can enjoy. It's something that only a very young mind that isn't very attuned to quality or attuned to anything like that can enjoy. I love things that everybody can enjoy, like The Incredibles. Sorry, getting off on a tangent here. The Incredibles movie, I adored as a child, and I've only come to love it more. That it was so enjoyable for everybody involved. And I feel like the older Sonic games were pretty similar to that. What do I do here? Oh, I can go up here. Fantastic. But yeah, I apologize if you enjoy Colors and the story. That's fine. It just, for me, it didn't match my tastes and what I enjoyed about the series previously. So then as the games went on, they just started to check less and less boxes for me. What came after? Oh, Generations, which I'm playing right now. I really like. The graphics were pretty neat. I loved seeing all the old things. But again, the characters and the story were so neutered, and I love that about the series. I love these characters. I grew up with them. But they're just annoying, and they're shallow now, and there's nothing really going on. It's all just very pandering and dull. And generic and just quite frankly garbage. So the graphics were good. The music in this game is fantastic. The gameplay is really fun. You're just Sonic. I like that there's no Werehog. So yeah, Sonic Generations still checking a lot of boxes. And then things like Sonic Lost World started coming out, and that game checks so few of my boxes for requiring enjoyment. Really, the only thing I can appreciate about that game is that it runs in 60 frames per second on the Wii U or the PC, which I think is necessary for a Sonic game. 30 frames per second is unacceptable. But the graphics are also weird. They don't fit with the tone of the series. And what is anything? What are the Deadly Six? That game more than anything just had the worst story and the worst continuity to what has already been established in the rest of the series. Have I already done Classic? I think I did Classic. If I didn't, I apologize. No, I gotta collect boss keys now. Lovely. But yeah, about the only things that I liked about that were the gameplay. I actually do like the gameplay of Sonic Lost World. I found it really challenging and frustrating at times too. But I don't know. I don't hate it like the rest of society tends to do. Maybe I have not done Classic. I definitely have not done Classic Sonic here. So yeah, the only things I really enjoyed about that game were by chance the gameplay, which just happened to appeal to me, and I can appreciate that it runs in 60 frames per second. That's about it. Gosh darn it, my controls got all messed up. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, so that the whole point of this was to sort of explain to link it back to why I don't really make videos on Supersonic Boom anymore. When I was making it, there were still new games coming out. There were still new things being announced. Like things that I could get into, things that I could get behind, that I could parody, that were interesting to me. Sonic Lost World, Sonic Generations, while it was really cool and really fun, just there's no story to get behind. There's just such nothing. There's just nothing going on. And so as my interest in the series began to decline, so did like my reservoir of stuff to make videos out of. There wasn't really anything coming out that interested me or that I wanted to make a video about. It was all the best games to me were in the past. So yeah, that's that. Now I'm going to talk about some of the recent stuff. Sonic Mania and Sonic Project 2017 or whatever. Mania looks really good to me. I'm so happy that nobody's talking, nobody's voicing anything. Sonic looks like he has attitude. It just harkens back to the classic games and the Game Boy Advance games, and I can really dig it. I have that game pre-ordered, the collector's edition. I can't wait to play it. I'm a little disappointed that they're just rehashing a lot of graphical themes from old levels. I mean, they're going to be new levels, but they're going to be rehashed graphics. But I'm not too worried about that. They're the one level that they have shown off so far. I think it's called Studiopolis. It looks great. The music's great. So it's checking a lot of boxes. I love the graphics for that game. The story and the characters seem to be fun, in line. The music's fantastic. It's checking all the old boxes that I really enjoyed about Sonic. 2017 is, I'm not sure. I can't call anything yet because all we have is that one teaser trailer. But it looks like it could be good. I don't really love that Classic Sonic's in it. I don't feel like we need a Sonic Generations 2, which I know the director of the game has said that it's not going to be, but to me it really seems like it is. I would bet you that it is. But yeah, tonal-wise, it looks darker. It looks a little more serious. I can dig that. I can get behind that. What am I doing here? How am I so bad at this? But yeah, so lost interest in the Sonic series because they just weren't doing anything that intrigued me anymore. And that's one of the major factors of why I stopped making videos on the Supersonic Boom channel. Alright, I think that's probably the last video I'm going to make for tonight, and tomorrow I'm going to post some stuff about the NX. This video was very rambly and long, but appreciate anybody who stayed and listened to it, and this has been pretty cathartic, pretty fun. I'll probably post some more of these. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.